At Westlake Center, halfway into the May Day march, Seattle police started tangling with protesters. They were outraged when officers started making arrests. Look closely. The shower of liquid you're about to see,
guys, we just got gassed,
is pepper spray being sprayed by officers to disperse the crowd. Some of the protesters were pouring Maalox into their eyes for relief.
I can't breathe.
But a large group held their ground.
Go arrest the real criminals on Wall Street, pigs!
And they pushed back. That's when police started using crowd control grenades. While we were on the front lines, grenades exploded under our feet.
A lot of the shrapnel came over. This piece hit me. It's a heavy metal piece. There's another one.
There's a bunch of people firing weapons on unarmed citizens.
While dozens of officers surrounded the Niketown store, which was targeted by vandals last year, we spotted one of the protesters concealing what appeared to be a heavy baton. Objects were thrown, but no one was close enough to shatter glass.
They're making this into a war zone when it's not. It's a march, and that's all it is, and that's all it was trying to be.
As soon as we arrived to this part of Marine View Drive, the reason it closed became very loud and clear.
You hear it coming down.
Only minutes after we got here, road crews put up signs and made it official. They tell us Marine View Drive won't reopen again until they can figure out how to somehow stabilize what rain and gravity is pulling down on the route Chuck Gaffney takes to the airport.
You can't get through here like this? Yeah, you got it. Uh-oh, stand back. That thing gets going. Wow.
The people who live around here say this is all the latest fallout of last week's torrential rains, and you see how dangerous this is. The hillside began to groan and crack, and then we saw this. As mud began flowing over the road, we could hear more trouble coming. Photojournalist Reed Nolan stuck with this shot, and look what he got. Within the next few seconds, much of this road was blocked and covered with part of what was the hill above it. Closing Marine View Drive is already a big inconvenience for a lot of drivers who use it to get home, to work, and as an alternative to I-5.
If this hillside came down, they'd have to clear it out pretty darn quick. Besides that, it's pretty dangerous.
Danger or not, with rocks falling and mud flowing, we found plenty of drivers who don't seem to believe what they read. They tell us they've got to get through before the slide buries the road, and with it, their ride home.
They should get on it, get something fixed here before a car drives by and gets washed into the bay.
The buildup starts with a beat. A steady drum paces the dozens of devoted protesters remaining in the rotunda.
I've been here the better part of 2 weeks.
I'm going to be here as long as it takes.
Inside the assembly, setup is slow and steady as members of the media gather for the governor. 2 floors below, police eye the serene scene.
People are mad and they're not going to take it.
A little after 4 o'clock, a call to create chaos.
Ready, go!
The protesters march as close as they can to the man who at the moment is getting a far warmer welcome upstairs. Each side hits their stride.
A great deal of attention has been focused on Wisconsin. Freedom thrives each time there is a passionate debate in our society.
The budget address peaks with applause, while the protest sounds through the State House. Floor by floor, the frustration flows through the doors denying their demonstration.
I'm very, very upset about it.
Eventually, the sound seeps into the assembly, competing with faint camera clicks. The protesters penetrate Walker's budget announcement.
He's just gutting our state from the inside, from the bottom up, by gutting education. Without that, we don't have anything.
If the world is in a chaos, down below, it's all calm. But sometimes everything looks like it's a sunny day, and yet there are strong undercurrents, a riptide in the ocean. That's what we like in kendo to be. On the outside, it looks like chaos. But really, these people are complete concentration, complete relaxed state, and complete focus.
Kendo is totally based on Japanese culture.
Kendo is a Japanese term. Ken means sword, and do means way. So it means the way of the sword.
We look totally crazy from outside view because we hit each other with like a big noise, screaming.
It is by far the hardest thing that I do, and it puts everything else into perspective. Dancing at my friend's wedding, no problem. Job interview, no problem.
When you're pushing it to your limit and you don't have much more strength, and your teacher feels like you're really giving it your all, they'll try to push you further.
Took like armor off, fold them in the ground, we do. But that's just training. If I push myself harder, they respond back hard too.
So I was exhausted, and he thought, well, let's put him in a panic situation and see what he does. And I feel like I was able to keep on trying. It was awesome. It was fun. First time I ever had that happen.
As physical as lovemaking, it is a very, very personal relationship when somebody screams in your face and demands the very best you have. It is a very personal relationship.
You're hearing a lot of shouting, what they call battle cries.
So you have to act as if it's a real point. Yeah! Each time you have to put the attention there, right?
Big noise, then you can feel tension in your body, and that actually creates a power.
Yeah! I always tell the students to do really loud from down here. Yeah! And you can hear they all stop.
At first you find it a little bit intimidating, then you get used to it.
We come here because this is the forge. You get hot, you get beaten, and you get stronger, and you get better. And when you leave, everything else is just that much easier.
It's like washing yourself, your spirit, completely with practice, if you apply yourself. You know, maybe kendo might be for you. I don't know. You gotta try. You gotta come, and you gotta find out for yourself.
I got another tattoo on my chest, which is my wife's name.
It's just, fun, spunky kind of thing that I decided to do.
Below this in Runic is Rahoa, which stands for Racial Holy War.
Some stories are sealed in skin.
Every tattoo I ever get, it got some type of meaning behind it.
This is permanent. It's never going to leave me.
This is the kind of the demon of my past.
The plot painted on with pain.
Dolor is Latin and Spanish for pain.
The moral deeper than any words.
The voice is just, it's always been there. And the tattoos, they've been growing on me since I was 14.
But to see the burden Arno Michaels bears, look below the surface.
So, yeah.
This is the character he carves out for himself in the mid-'80s and early '90s.
Well, I got up there and I screamed real loud, and I got people crazy.
Michaels is the lead singer of the hate metal band Centurion at the time. They play in mostly dark bars and basements, any place that permits their drunken, racist ranting.
It was a 7-year keg party with racism and violence.
Back then, he's one of the heads of the Milwaukee White Power movement, a founder of the racist skinhead group, the Northern Hammerskins.
It was revealed to me that white people are my people.
Michael's past is littered with lost lives ruined by racism.
One of them had a .25 pistol.
In 1990, an 18-year-old he'll only identify as Chuck is drawn to the deadly skinhead lifestyle. Soon after, the young recruit picks a fight with a Latino gang, and he's buried because of his bigotry.
He took one shot, and it hit Chuck in the back, and it went right through his heart, and he died on the spot.
The death only enrages the racist crew.
We played it off like, you know, what's this world coming to when a white man can't even walk down the street without being murdered by these savages?
And so it goes for years. The music plays, the booze flows, and hate rules Michael's life.
Years later, yeah.
These days, it's hard to envision that violent man in the Centurion video.
How old do you think I am?
He's like 28.
I'll take it.
Now at age 40, you'll find Michael's in a very different place. Here he's laughing in the quiet corner of a Milwaukee inner-city library with mostly minority students.
We literally had blinders up to deny all this information from the world around us that indicated that other people were as human as we were.
The now reformed racist shares his dead friend's story as a lesson worth learning.
It's really poignant, tragic evidence that hate and violence begets hate and violence.
I thought, oh man, this is going to be scary. This is my meeting with the scary skinhead.
In the school full of like 75% black African Americans.
But he came right through the door and his human warmth, you know, preceded him.
Michael's journey from hardened hammerskin to self-proclaimed peace activist actually begins with more racism.
We felt it was our duty to have white children.
And it's the birth of his innocent little girl that finally makes Michaels feel guilty about everything.
I was like, what the hell did I start here? What am I doing?
So in the mid-90s, he begins leaving the movement he helped mastermind.
As the violence and hatred lost that constant reinforcement, it began to make less sense.
And it's not long before Michaels is left reflecting on the ramifications of the life he lived.
I think about my daughter and how much I love her. And I think of how I would feel if somebody ever hurt her. And then I ask myself, how did that kid's parents feel after you got done with them?
By 2004, the former skinhead finds himself sober, sorry, and with a plan to reconcile his past and save his very soul.
The impetus to begin writing this book was really my own sanity.
My Life After Hate by Arno Michaels is published last December.
It's really a message for everybody, regardless of their age, that decisions you make and the actions you take have consequences.
But writing the book isn't enough. Composing in coffee shops across the North Shore, every keystroke spreads his message through a blog and online magazine, lifeafterhate.org.
When I was your age, I was already cutting out of school.
Pacing back and forth in front of a larger crowd of Kenosha students, Michael shares his shadowy past.
Kindness, not weakness, is about setting an example.
And kindness, not weakness is more than just a catchy phrase for Michaels. It's an anti-bullying program he's launching with former gang member Sammy Rangel, who used to be a Latin disciple.
Two different mindsets altogether, but still so similar on this other side. There were things that just drew us together.
I was really touched by your story, man.
Thanks a lot, man. That's great to hear.
It's like a symbolization of my grandparents.
And that's kind of what I got in my back.
These knuckles had NHS for Northern Hammer Skinheads and a big swastika here.
Today, Michael's tattoos tell the tale of how he turned his life around.
Having them removed hurt way worse than getting them.
He says he's proof every picture, no matter how permanent,
It was a pretty horrible theme for a tattoo.
can be redrawn.
My response is, if you don't believe me, just watch what I do.
So Michaels will just keep using the ugly images of his past.
It's somewhat symbolic of the devil and angel on either shoulder.
To ink what he hopes is a life-saving story.
It's the only reason I can do what I'm doing.